Good evening. I'm Erin Burnett. Welcome to a special edition of Out Front. We are live in Washington tonight following several breaking news stories right here in the nation's capital. I want to begin, though, with a stunning announcement from the White House this evening. President Obama commuting the sentence of Chelsea Manning 3 days before he leaves office. It's an incredibly controversial decision. It's going to set Manning free. Manning served 7 years of a 35-year sentence for stealing classified information and passing it on to WikiLeaks. The outrage tonight, fast and furious. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham issuing this statement. I quote him, Manning stabbed his fellow soldiers in the back by releasing classified information and putting their lives at risk. President Obama, by granting clemency to Manning, slapped all those who serve honorably in the face. And fellow Republican Senator Tom Cotton, also harshly critical of the president's decision, saying we ought not treat a traitor like a martyr. Manning's supporters have argued that her sentence was excessive. Manning had tried to commit suicide twice in the past year as a transgender, was confined to an all-male prison at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Pamela Brown begins our coverage out front on this breaking story. And Pamela, just 3 days to go, a stunning commutation by President Obama.
It really is, Aaron. This act of clemency for Chelsea Manning is a surprising move for a president that has taken a very tough stance on leaking during his time in office. And as you mentioned, while supporters of Manning are celebrating her release, criticism has been fierce from Capitol Hill and from those in the intelligence community who say she caused harm to national security.
Tonight, in a shocking move, President Obama is allowing Chelsea Manning, the Army private convicted of stealing and leaking hundreds of thousands of documents and videos, to be a free woman in May. The reaction on Capitol Hill and beyond has been swift.
For the president, especially the president who's made so much recently about the danger that WikiLeaks has posed to our national security, to commute Private Manning's sentence, I just think is very disappointing.
In 2007, then known as Bradley Manning, the 22-year-old stole hundreds of thousands of classified and sensitive military files as an Army intelligence analyst. Manning then gave them to the website WikiLeaks, which published them, causing a massive ripple effect in the United States and around the world, and putting WikiLeaks on the map for future leakers such as Edward Snowden. Manning's disclosures included videos of U.S. airstrikes in Baghdad that launched worldwide discussions about their morality. The stolen files also included embarrassing diplomatic cables. Manning confided in an online associate about the disclosures, who then alerted authorities. Manning was arrested in 2010 for leaking classified information. During the court-martial trial, prosecutors argued Manning was a traitor to the United States, but the defense said Manning was a naive whistleblower who wanted to shed light on human rights violations. Manning pleaded guilty and delivered an apology to the court before the sentencing. Manning was acquitted of aiding the enemy, but found guilty on 20 other counts, including violations under the Espionage Act, and sentenced to 35 years in prison. The day after the sentencing, Manning announced she wanted to live life as a woman. And a year later, a judge granted Manning's request for a formal name change from Bradley to Chelsea. Tonight, the White House is defending Manning's sentence commutation by drawing the distinction between Manning's case and Edward Snowden, who remains in exile.
Chelsea Manning is somebody who went through the military criminal justice process, was exposed to due process, was found guilty, was sentenced for her crimes, and she acknowledged wrongdoing. Mr. Snowden fled into the arms of an adversary, and has sought refuge in a country that most recently made a concerted effort to undermine confidence in our democracy.
And over the years, Manning, who was incarcerated at a men's military prison, had petitioned unsuccessfully to be placed in a civilian prison and to be given gender reassignment treatment. She will be released from prison May 7th after serving 7 years of her 35-year sentence. Aaron?
All right. Thank you very much, Pamela. I appreciate it. And out front now, the White House Communications Director, Jen Psaki. And Jen, really appreciate your time tonight. Obviously, this is probably the last time we will be talking in this format, so it's good to have you with us.
My
So
pleasure.
Chelsea Manning, of course, convicted of a massive leak, hundreds of thousands of secret American documents. You've heard, obviously, what Republicans have said. These documents were originally leaked to WikiLeaks, to Julian Assange. Julian Assange has just come out with a statement about what the President of the United States did. I wanted to read it to you and get your reaction. He says, "I welcome President Obama's decision to commute the sentence of my alleged source, Ms. Chelsea Manning, from 35 years to time served. Ms. Manning should never have been convicted in the first place. Ms. Manning is a hero whose bravery should be applauded." Should President Obama be on the same side as Julian Assange?
I don't think President Obama is on the same side as Julian Assange, Aaron. Chelsea Manning is guilty of a serious crime. Chelsea Manning went through the criminal justice system, went through the military justice system, has served more than 6 years in Leavenworth Prison. Chelsea Manning was also sentenced to a period of time that is much longer than those who have been convicted of comparable crimes. So the president made a decision. It's been no secret of the requests by Chelsea Manning and Chelsea Manning's team to receive a commutation, but he made a decision based on all of those factors. But certainly we don't take Julian Assange's recommendation prior to this statement, the tweet from a week ago. That has not been a factor in any way in the president's decision.
So the president, though, has spoken about Manning directly. He actually did back in 2011 at a fundraiser. We were able to obtain the audio, and I've put lower thirds on the bottom of the screen so people could read if you can't hear it. Let me just play it for you.
I have to abide by certain past by information. If I release stuff that I'm not authorized to release, I'm breaking the law. You know, we're a nation of laws. We don't individually make our own decisions about how the laws operate. No, he's so fine. He's so fine. I mean, he's being courteous and he's asking a question. No, he broke the law.
And you could hear him loud and clear there. Manning broke the law. I mean, the real question here, Jen, of course, is it hypocritical of him to now reverse course and have sympathy for Chelsea Manning?
Well, I don't think the president would say he didn't break the law or she didn't break the law. She did break the law. And she went through the justice system, has served time, has admitted guilt, has taken responsibility. So really, this is a question about the comparable aspect of time served. And that's a big part of the reason why the president made the decision that he did.
So Manning obviously leaked the documents via Julian Assange. And as we all know, President Obama has unsuccessfully tried to have Assange extradited to the U.S. for trial. Assange now says he's going to come. He'll come to the U.S. if Manning is released. So, you know, we know Assange also released documents during the campaign that hurt Clinton, helped Trump. Is part of the reason for this pardon, Jen, at all, to force Trump to be the one to bring Assange to the U.S. for trial?
Well, those are a lot of different pieces. I have no insight into Julian Assange's travel plans, nor do I have any insight into the president-elect's plans. There is some irony that I hope isn't lost here on people, that a lot of the criticism of the president's decision is coming from individuals in the Republican Party who supported a candidate who applauded WikiLeaks, who even suggested that they should release some of his opponent's information. So there are a lot of decisions that, or a lot of discussions perhaps, that need to happen within the Republican Party about this, but I have no insight into Julian Assange's plans, into President-elect's plans at this point in time. Don't expect I will.
All right. Jen, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
All right. And now, Mark Preston, executive editor for CNN Politics, Jamie Gangel, CNN special correspondent Nia Malika Henderson, our senior political reporter, Michael Nutter, the former mayor of Philadelphia, Kayleigh McEnany, conservative columnist, and Laura Coates, a former federal prosecutor and CNN legal analyst. Mark, this is a stunning announcement, all right? And I think I made the point there at the very beginning, that statement just breaking from Julian Assange. You have Julian Assange basically saying Manning is a hero, and President Obama, you know, by default is a hero for freeing her.
Well, yeah, in many ways, and we'll hear from Barack Obama directly tomorrow when he holds his final news conference. I mean, I was surprised. I think that probably a lot of people sitting here on this panel was surprised. What I find even more surprising, though, is that some of the critics, though, of the release of Chelsea Manning are the same ones who are not coming out and being as forceful about the Russians hacking into our systems. It's just a very bizarre situation that we're in right now. It's quite frankly where you're seeing Democrats who are, you know, the law and order party, political party, when it comes to the Russians, and then, quite frankly, the Republicans, when it comes to Chelsea Manning, they're the ones that are law and order. It's very bizarre.
And Laura, what do you make about this? What happens next here? Because there is a great irony, as she pointed out, in the fact that Donald Trump may be the one to have to deal with Julian Assange coming here, which would uncover, of course, anything Julian Assange was doing related to Donald Trump and the Russians.
You know, I think that's the fascinating point here, because remember, what they're talking about is they want to make sure that people are brought to justice and have due process, not focus on the outcome necessarily. And the thought is that because Chelsea Manning faced some form of due process, that to commute it, not pardon it, remember, but to commute it and acknowledge there's still a conviction is enough. But with Assange, we haven't had that opportunity in the United States to say whether or not this person has done something wrong, should be brought to justice. I mean, Sweden is the one to try to extradite him for something totally different than we're trying to do. So I think this is going to be very telling to figure out what Donald Trump's plans are in terms of whether he views Russia as an adversary and whether or not he wants people who have aided and abetted Russia in some form to be brought to justice in the United States.
And Kaylee, that is the big question here that Donald Trump has to face because, well, it used to be that Julian Assange was a bipartisan issue, although as Mark points out, now when it comes to Russia, it's a little bit more split. But Donald Trump isn't going to have a lot of friends if he doesn't want to bring Julian Assange here.
And I think he will. Look, Donald Trump applauded the fact that the Democrats were exposed, that the DNC was exposed for what they are, setting up the candidacy of Hillary Clinton at the expense of Bernie Sanders. He applauded that. But what he does not applaud and what he will never applaud and what Obama has tacitly endorsed by this commutation of the sentence is the leaking of sources and methods information, the most highly classified information that put American lives in danger. Like Tom Cotton said, I was over there fighting in Afghanistan while this man, while Private Manning, this woman, Private Manning, was leaking information to undermine the United States. It is serious, and today is a very sad day because Obama sent a message. You can do this and get away with a 7-year sentence.
All right. Thank you all very much. We are going to take a break. When we come back, more breaking news. Donald Trump is about to arrive any moment. He's going to land at Reagan National Airport right here, just moments away. One of the most beautiful things about Washington is when you land in that airport, you really land right next to all of those monuments. A beautiful way to approach. And new details. He's got a big dinner tonight. We're going to have him as he arrives there tonight. And